Hi there, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this was a paid request for Walker. Thank you so much for that. If anyone wants to request any type of movie review, re-review, thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, a full playthrough, tier list, ranking, random movie, topic, or news, or whatever the case may be, PayPal is the best way to send it. Do have a Cash app as well. Links are down below in the info box that I'll get to as soon as I possibly can, so thank you for that. Now, Walker, he wanted me to look at Tomcats from 2001. Now, Tomcats, I know I've seen this film once before. I did not remember anything about it. I could kind of see why after watching it, because I didn't care for this movie. I don't think this movie was that funny. I think it was very much trying very hard, a bit too hard, to be that shock value of raunchy comedy. Because American Pie had come out in 1999, was a surprise hit. So a lot of comedies try to copy or try to be similar to that. Now, the guy who directed this is the only film he directed, but he had written other films. He wrote See Spot Run with David Arquette. He wrote The Spy Next Door with Jackie Chan. So I know he wrote that Michael Keaton film Knox Goes Away, which I didn't think it was that good of a movie, although I know it gets like a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. But I don't think this guy's that great of a writer. Now, Jerry O'Connell stars in the film. It is helped that he stars in it because I liked Jerry O'Connell. I've liked him ever since I first saw him in Sliders, the TV show from back in the day, which I remember liking the first 1 or 2 seasons, but then kind of starting season 3, especially later on, where they started like killing people off and people were gone, and it just really, really shit the bed. Which is just, that's one of the reasons why I don't rewatch that show, because I know where it's leading, and where it's leading to, it's ass. But I do remember liking the first season or so. Anyway, he's also been in Scream 2. He was in Kangaroo Jack, which I did see in the theater. I liked it for how goofy and silly it was, but it also helped me during a time in my life where I was depressed, and I just needed to see a stupid, goofy movie, and Kangaroo Jack helped. So I have a weird nostalgic enjoyment of that film. But he was in Stand By Me, been a lot of stuff. And again, he has this likable, goofy nature to him. I do think he is a likable lead. Like, he's a likable vibe of an actor. Like, he seems like a nice guy in real life. And that's captured when he does roles like this. So it's cool to see him in the lead. I just wish it was in a film that was funnier, had a better script. Other people, Shannon Elizabeth, who was in the American Pie, she's in this. Jake Busey, who was in Starship Troopers. He was, of course, he's the son of Gary Busey. He's in this film. Bill Maher, he's in this in a bit as a mob boss. So definitely a different type of casting. He's in a couple scenes. The setup of the film is we first see Jerry O'Connell and Jake Busey and some others in this wedding where they're the part of the groom, part of the best men. Someone plays a trick on them, they drink a bunch of stuff, and they have boners. So the first big joke of the film is they have to turn around and they all have boners sticking out. So that's the kind of film you're watching. All the men make a bet that whoever, from time to time, they put money into this pool. Whoever is the last single man, the last Tomcat, they will get all the money. As time goes on, everyone gets married except Jerry O'Connell and Jake Busey. Jared Cano is not really willing to accept a relationship because he's afraid of getting married and losing all his money. So, for example, there's this joke early on where this girl is ready to have sex with him, and then she's like, I just want to hear three little words from you. He thinks it's I love you, sends her away. She stops and goes, no, suck my cock. And I thought that was kind of funny with Jared Connell's reaction. Oh, you know, no. And he's like, no, please, suck my cock, suck my. And then, of course, he turns and there's people watching him and he's embarrassed. And again, it might not be the most high tolerant joke, but Jared Connell is trying with what he's given. And that alone makes it not the worst comedy ever. I also thought it was interesting that it had an animated opening, which is not something you really see nowadays. Comedies that have animated openings. A few of them did back in the day, but that was nice to see in this. But as time goes on, what happens is Jared Connell, he is gambling and he screws up and now he owes over $50,000. He has like a month to pay it, and in order to get the money, he's got to get Jake Busey hooked up and married. He tosses Jamie Presley, who is married to, I forget the actor's name, Horatio, or I forget the guy's name. Which the running joke is he keeps thinking his wife is cheating on him, and then eventually realizes she is with other women. But then when he's allowed to join, he's happy about it. So that's one of the running jokes. But Jamie Presley tells him, well, there's this girl that he liked, Shannon Elizabeth, who we find out is an undercover cop. Now, granted, got hard to buy Shannon Elizabeth as a cop, but okay. Her partner is Bernie Casey. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Bernie Casey, who was in Revenge of the Nerds. He was the teacher in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Who's Joan of Arc? Noah's wife? But I always liked Bernie Casey, capable character actor. Interesting that he was in this film. And Shannon Elizabeth is willing to go along with Jared Connell's plan because Jake Busey screwed her over. So him losing all this money would be a certain type of revenge as well. And you know where it's going. They start planning to figure out how to get Jake Busey to marry her. They start to fall in love. And then it kind of just goes from there. I mean, it just as bare skeleton of a plot to set up these circumstances that maybe you'll get kicked out of it. To me, it's kind of like, whatever. Or, for example, the big scene in the movie is Jared Connell sees his librarian, who's very shy, very in her shell, it seems. But when she takes him home, you find out she's a dominatrix, ties him up. And not only that, but her mom, who says, here's come Granny, she's a dominatrix too. And I guess you get the idea that they spanked the hell out of him, among other stuff. So, I mean, that's like the big joke in the movie, the big scene that people remember from this film. That's what it is. And like I say, it's trying very much to be raunchy, and it's very much trying to be that, again, American Pie style humor. Like, for example, there's a scene where Jared Connell's getting more paranoid, so he looks over. It's like a dinner with friends and their wives, and he keeps imagining these weird things, like this woman's pouring milk, but he imagines that she's pouring it out of her titty, like shooting milk out of her titty. Or Shannon Elizabeth is giving birth to a baby in front of him, and she lifts it up as Jared Connell's face on it. Or there's a side plot where Jake Busey's character gets cancer, testicular, so they need to like cut his balls off. He asked Jerry O'Connell, "Can you dip me my balls? I want them as a souvenir." Jerry loses it, accidentally just dropped into his food, and this doctor, which I think is David Ogden Stiers, who was on the TV show MASH, he was on the TV show The Dead Zone, he accidentally eats it. And doesn't realize what he's eating, but he accidentally eats the testicle. Or Jake Busey tells a story about he was having sex with this girl and she started puking and he was enjoying it because of the contractions. Like, this is the kind of humor that you have throughout the film. It's going to depend how you feel about that. To me, it's a give or take. Some films do it better than others in terms of raunch and humor. For example, I like Dude, Where's My Car? I like Harold Kumar Go to White Castle. But those, I got a bit more into the characters. I got a little bit more into the story. I thought it just had more moments that made me laugh. I still laugh at Harold Kumar Go to White Castle, where Jamie Teddy comes out of nowhere at this bush, and Cal Penn's like, there's other places you go. And he's like, you have a special bond with this bush? Is this your special bush? You're the key of the forest? I still laugh at that. Here, very few and far in between, because it felt a lot of try hard in terms of the shot humor. And there wasn't a whole lot of, I don't want to say friction, but there's not a whole lot, like, between Shannon Elizabeth and Jerry O'Connell. They shared, scenes together, of course, but I don't know if it's just I didn't feel that the chemistry was there, or it was just so predictable, where it didn't feel like there was any there was never any doubt that they were not going to end up together. In fact, it feels that at times Shannon Elizabeth, there are points in the film she just disappears, even though she seems like she should be a bit more important to the plot. And she is, but yeah, it felt like there were moments she just disappeared. Because we gotta have this stuff with the librarian and the Dom. We gotta have this bit where Jake Busey's gotta jerk the gherkin, I guess, to test out how the cancer is. So then Jerry O'Connell decides to squeeze some out. And the joke is that because he imagines Shannon Elizabeth, he's able to get 3 cups of jizz. And the woman at the counter, dude, and they high-five each other. So, that's the thing. Like, when it got to the end of the film, the finale just kind of fell flat. Like, the finale felt like something that would be in a lesser sitcom, where it's just, he's got to stop the wedding, and what he gets into that stops him along the way is he wakes up, he puts on someone's fur coat. He goes somewhere, there's an animal activist group, so they spray him because he's wearing a fur coat. He's running, there's a car, he gets hit by the car. He gets to it, he thinks he's stopped at the wedding, but it's not the right wedding, he's too late. I think the guy who was the priest, like, over the wedding was Gary Marshall, I believe. Which, Gary Marshall, director, done a lot of stuff. So, didn't expect to see him in this. Shannon marries Jake Busey. He gets the money. He pays off the debt. Then pretty easily, he kind of finds Shannon, tells her how he feels, finds out that during the wedding night, she left Jake Busey because he had left her in a crappy way. Jake Busey wasn't bothered by it too much. Jerry and Shannon get together and goes on from there. I mean, like I said, the plot, the story isn't much. The movie, I'm sure nowadays would be looked at as very, very misogynistic. To me, it's just more of just a goofy, silly movie that, which I don't mind that, I just didn't find that funny. I didn't find the set pieces that funny. Jerry O'Connell is fun to see him, but hell, I'd rather watch Kangaroo Jack than this. I got more laughs out of stuff between him and Anthony Anderson than this. This film just didn't do much for me. I can see why I did not remember much about this. I can see why it's a 5.3. I'd probably give it even a bit lower. And if you want to check it out, if you want to see movies that were piggybacking off the success of American Pie, wanted that kind of... And like when you think you're going to get more out of the other characters of the other Tomcats, a lot of them aren't really in it that much. It's definitely more Jerry O'Connell's story. Jake Busey, he's good at playing that kind of prickly role with that snarky smile and saying lines like, "I love the smell of bridesmaids in the morning," and him being this womanizer. He plays that well. Shannon Elizabeth, I mean, I don't hate Shannon Elizabeth. I don't mind her. I don't think she's the greatest actress, but I don't mind her, and she's cute. And, I mean, I don't really buy her as a cop, but it is what it is. The soundtrack, I mean, is definitely nostalgic if you grew up in this time. This song, Leaving Town by Dexter Freebish, I remember hearing that song quite a bit during that time. There's songs from The Offspring, there's songs from Blink-182. So if you're nostalgic for raunchy comedies of this era, you could give it a watch. It's just, I think there were ones that were a bit better. Like, I would put American Pie above this. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't really consider that raunchy, but Saving Silverman, I liked more than this. This is other comedy. Again, Dude, Where's My Car? Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. All the Harold and Kumar movies, actually. They're just other movies I prefer over this, so. It's not the worst movie I ever saw, but I remember going... But at least it was nice to see Jerry O'Connell in the lead. Again, he has an affable, goofy nature that I find a bit charming, but I just don't think this guy... The director... He's not a great writer. Again, it's the guy who wrote The Spy Next Door, Jackie Chan, which I don't think was that great of a movie. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.